I'm gonna ask you a question.
All right.
What do you find hard about, in your opinion, about reading the Bible?
Reading has never been it's never been a fun thing. They tried to make it fun, and I appreciate them for that, but it just never was. And because of that, since the Bible requires you to read, and reading is not my best strong suit, and two, definitely not my favorite.
When I first started reading the Bible, like, I didn't even know where to start. Like, it's just so confusing. Like,
I was like, oh my god, like I really didn't care about the origins of like anything. I say that Genesis is definitely different from all the other origin stories I've heard, especially since it actually happened.
Hello, my name is Autumn. For those of you guys who don't know me, for all my old people, konnichiwa. And this is my brother, Aaron.
Aaron Joseph.
You did not have to say your whole government name.
That was probably a bad idea.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Anyway, this is a segment we like to call Bible Conversations, where we do deep dives into the books of the Bible so that you... I don't know. I'm about to say so you don't have to, but they kind of have to.
You stopped so impressed. I was like, you okay?
The Bible is not seen as the most interesting book to read, but I challenge you, okay? Because I've read it myself so far, and let me tell you, baby,
it is probably...
It's turned. It's lit.
It's lit, bro.
It's lit. It's unhinged.
Bro.
It's...
and it...
Like, look, bro, I'm just thinking about certain stuff.
It's
like
I'm thinking about like some stories that I know of. It's like
that's crazy. Like that's like on a whole nother level. And
now,
so
if you want to really see where these reactions, because I know there's probably some of you guys out there that's just like, oh, they just hyping it up. No, bro, this is like this book. This is probably one of the best books ever, and I don't even like to read, bro. I don't like to read. I don't like to read, bro.
No, he doesn't. And like, it really is interesting. And so we just wanted to do these Bible conversations where we can do deep dives so that people who have this impression that the Bible is boring, that they can follow along and they can actually see that it's not. And just for those, just to add on more context, and so that you can get understanding of God's word. So you can get an understanding of your purpose and who God is in your story. So let's get into it.
Yes, indeed.
First thing I like to do is I like to figure out who wrote the book of Genesis. Or anytime I read a book in the Bible, I like to figure out who wrote it and try to get the context and the background behind it, because that will really help you understand what you're about to read. First off, the word Genesis in Greek means origin. And so this is like what you said earlier, like this is the pilot episode of life.
Basically.
This is where you get like, you basically like, why am I here?
It was like, okay, this is all cool and all, but
like, what's the backstory? Like,
how am I here right now?
Right, how am I here? Yeah. Like, how is this existing? The meaning of Genesis is actually in the title, so it means origin. But the question is, why is Genesis important? It's important because it outlines the origin of the world. It outlines the origin of sin, which we will get into in chapter 3. And it outlines the origin of the Jewish people. But not only Jewish people, of us, of all creation. One thing that I think people tend to forget when, like, even seasoned people who've read Genesis, is that God is basically trying to communicate to us what his intended purpose was for us. Not like how things are going now, but what he wanted things to go in the beginning. In the beginning. Okay. So
okay.
I think God is basically, I'm being more personal. Like when I read this, I was like, okay, so God is trying to just show me why he created us. Yeah. What was his purpose for creating us? How things were supposed to be before chapter 3. And basically he's just outlining his relationship to humanity, his creations. He's just showing you who he is too. When you read the first line of Genesis, that the first line actually just tells you a lot about God in that first sentence. The question is, who wrote Genesis?
Ooh, yeah, I forgot about that question.
Yeah, you got any guesses?
Well, I know the answer, but I forgot the question. Do you want them to guess or do you want like me to guess? Because I know the answer. I know.
Okay.
I know. What?
Okay. I forgot I told you the answer.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, I know the answer to this question.
God, I told you. Okay. So Genesis
Put
was
your
written.
guesses in the comments, and
And you'll learn next episode. Okay. So Genesis was written by Moses.
Okay.
Now the question that I did ask you, but we didn't really have an answer at the time, was how did Moses write the book of Genesis if he wasn't even born when all these events occurred? How did he write about events that he wasn't even there for?
See,
What's your theories? Because I got an answer, but what's your theories?
You reversed the card on me,
right?
See, like with me, I just thought, okay, with God, anything's possible. I would, because Moses, I every time I think of Moses, I think of a person who's like so connected to God. Like when he speaks to God physically like, hey, what's going on, bro? Like he physically speaks back.
Right.
He physically speaks back. Like
they just connected like that.
They got a strange connection, you know. So
Yeah.
I feel like with Moses, the reason he knows, I feel like God it's like when your mom reads you a bedtime story before you go to sleep. I feel like that's what God kind of did with Moses.
Oh wow!
It's like he kind of
picture that.
I did. That's what I was picturing. I was like, he probably read him a story, or he probably like told him.
Mm-hmm.
Another theory that could come from that is, why would Moses, like, if you think about Moses's journey, why would Moses need to know this information? But then again,
exactly.
Yeah,
right.
I'm sure there's something.
Right.
Sure there's something.
That's actually, Moses definitely needed the information of Genesis in order to really carry out his plan, which we will read about in Exodus. But so actually that is, many people debate. There's always got to be a debate. But many people are debating this about like how and how Moses wrote Genesis. And one theory is that God just simply told him what happened. Because, Moses had that connection with God where like he was actually speaking, like not face to face, but like God was like having casual conversation with Moses all the time. So why wouldn't he just tell him, yo, this is what happened?
I guess so. I guess it was kind of like a cool, like, because that's actually very common, like within friends. I have multiple friend groups, and like they tell me the most strangest origin story.
Right, it be out of nowhere too. Y'all just be sitting there chilling. They be like, yeah. So my mom had me in the back of the car. We'd be like, that's what's up.
That's what's up, man. It would be like so random. It'd be like, my dog got hit with an asteroid, and his skin turned green, so we had to take him out. Like,
you be like, oh,
okay.
R.I.P. That's actually the theory, or it's not even a theory. I feel like that's fact. I feel like that's just how it went. Yeah. But other people argue that it was just passed on through the generations, kind of like how history is. Like, okay. Especially like intimately, the story of your ancestors, and then the story of your ancestors is passed on by word of mouth through the family, And so people are thinking like, oh, that's just how he knows what happened.
I wish I knew the story of my ancestors.
I
wish.
But I found something in the Bible so okay, if it's in the Bible, then that's truth. That combats that theory that it was just passed on through generations and he just knew it through word of mouth. In John chapter 5, Jesus actually said these words: "If you believed Moses, you would believe me, for he wrote about me." So Jesus was saying, if you believe the writings of Moses, then you should believe in me because he was writing about me.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that makes
So that just implies that Moses is the true author of Genesis and of the other four books of the Bible in the beginning, Exodus through Deuteronomy.
Ooh, okay.
I feel like God was the one specifically to tell him, or the only person to tell him what happened. Not only because everybody else was dead from Genesis.
They're done.
They're long gone. But it also says in 2 Timothy chapter 3, verse 16, that all scripture is given by God. So basically all the scripture in the Bible was given by God to the people he appointed to write it.
Okay.
So that's just further proof.
Yes, sir.
All right.
But
So,
if you don't believe us, did you see it?
did you see it?
Did you see it? In the corner.
In the corner, there was a man with a pen. He was writing at fast speeds.
So fast it wasn't humanly possible.
People saw him talking to himself. What he was really talking to was God. I'm just like, okay, let's stop.
This was a man of worship.
Okay. So we're just gonna be talking about Genesis chapter 1 today.
Gotcha.
Because there are 50 chapters in Genesis total. There's 1 through 11. You get the story of creation. You get the story of the origin of sin. You get the story of Adam and Eve. You get the story of Noah, and you get the story Noah and the flood, and you get the story of the Tower of Babel, which we will all discuss. And then from chapters 12 to 15, that is the story of Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, and Joseph. I have a lot to cover. I'll get slow with you guys. And in the midst of all this, I'm just going to be giving you basic tips and things that I do when I'm in my own devotional time and when we're studying the Bible together.
Yeah.
All right, let's just start with the first verse.
That rhymed. Okay.
I know, right?
Yeah, okay.
So, what is Genesis 1 about? So, the overview is that basically God created the world in 6 days and he rested in the seventh.
Ooh.
Period.
Ooh.
The end. I'm just
See you guys next time.
See you guys next time. That was a deep dive. So the reason these 7 days, basically God, for chapter 1, he is basically giving you a model of how he wants human activity to go.
Okay.
He wants you to work for 6 days or create and then rest on the 7th.
I like how you change work into
create. Yeah.
Because, it's like it kind of shows people, because I don't know too many people who don't like to recreate, but
yeah,
it kind of shows people that, like, he wants you to work, but if you're not enjoying yourself,
right?
if you feel like you're not doing what God like made you to do, then maybe try something else.
That's not your work.
Yeah, that's not the type of work
it implies that work is not meaningless. Work is supposed to be the work that you do, even if you love what you do now, and you feel like, oh, the work I'm doing is not contributing to mankind in any way, or it's not contributing. Work is creation. Like, you're creating something. It may not be like a physical material thing, but maybe you're creating community. Maybe you're creating a safe environment for the people around you. You could be indirectly impacting somebody else if you are making like materialistic stuff. Because think about it, like those people who make paper plates, like, y'all saving my life. Like, that's like an hour worth of dishes I don't have to do.
That's facts.
Like, you're making my life easier. Exactly. Wow. Okay. 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 Not only is Genesis 1 is about, God has given us a model of how he wants human activity to be, but he's also, in various parts of Genesis chapter 1, revealing aspects of himself that he instilled within us when he created us. Of course, we don't have all the attributes of God, because that's impossible.
Yes.
But there are some attributes of God that he gave us in order for us to fulfill our purpose here on earth. The first verse is, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. What are you laughing for?
I'm sorry, it's the beginning, you know. All right.
In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Okay, so this one sentence reveals a lot, because in the beginning, that's the creation of time. In the beginning, time started. God started that.
Yeah.
Created the heavens and earth is space and matter.
Yeah.
Just in that one sentence, God already created time, space, and matter. And the
Sound like
attribute
the
that we
world.
highlight here is that God is a creator. He's creative. No sleep, no rest.
Oh wow.
I'm just playing.
Wow.
Okay. The second verse. The earth was formless and empty, and darkness covered the deep waters, and the Spirit of God was hovering over the surface of the waters. So let's like paint the picture here. The earth lacked basically order and nothing was on it. I guess
True.
you could just picture it like a big ball of darkness. And then the Spirit of God is basically just like, he just roaming, bro. He just like, ooh.
Minecraft creative mode.
Right. He just like, what's this? Oh, it is like Minecraft. Like you come to like this empty plot and you just like, okay. So,
I'm gonna build everything.
right.
I'ma just build-
I'm gonna build like a whole universe.
For no reason. I'm gonna just do it.
Because I can. Verse 3. Then God said, let there be light, and there was light. And God saw that the light was good. Then he separated the light from the darkness. God called the light day and the darkness night. And evening passed and morning came, marking the first day. So here is another attribute of God. And this is an attribute that we don't have. God can just say things and they appear.
Oh yeah. I don't know anyone that can do that. except for
Nobody can do that.
Houdini.
Okay.
No, he can't do that. I don't think.
No. He can't. Because if he could, he'll be alive. When he say, I never die.
Hey, shout out to Houdini, bro. That man. Hey, think about it. He did the best disappearing trick ever.
Okay.
No one has yet to.
But that he can't do what God did. And another thing is that you're going to see a lot throughout Genesis chapter 1 that God saw that what he made was good.
Yes.
So this just implies like everything God brings into being is good. Or it was intended to be good. We'll explain that more in chapter 3.
Tune in.
Another thing is that like he said, let there be light. What is light?
Ooh.
It's
What
energy.
is light? Energy. Oh yeah.
Boom.
Yeah.
God created energy.
Boom. Yeah. Just like that. Easy. Light work, no reaction.
Period. And then we also God has established the way that days are formed. Evening passed, morning came. That marks the next day. So every time morning comes, it's a new day. And that's how this came to be.
Yeah.
How our system
Everything.
came to be now. Every time the sun hits, we're like, oh, it's the morning.
Yeah. See,
And when it disappears, it's the night.
true, because that's very true. Because look, we ain't calling nighttime morning and
Right.
daytime night.
Right.
That would be horrible.
He
Think about it.
separated these things by light, like the light from darkness.
Mm-hmm.
So anytime you see a light, it's a whole new world.
And fascinating.
Okay. All right, verse 6. Then God said, let there be a space between the waters to separate the waters of the heavens from the waters of the earth. And that is what happened. God made the space to separate the waters of the earth from the waters of the heavens. God called the space sky, and evening passed and morning came, marking the third day. Marking the second day. My bad. I can't even count.
I think in this case it'll be read.
Right. Oh, I can't count or read. Lord. That's because of chapter 3.
Oh my. Oh my God.
Okay. In the first day, God created night and day by separating the lightness and the dark. And then for the second day, he created the sky. So I was actually like, when I first read this, I'm like, let there be a space between the waters, like us. What? To separate the waters of the heavens from the waters of the earth. But it makes a lot of sense because everything is basically has some component of water in it.
True. Literally almost everything.
When it comes to the ecosystem, I should say.
Yeah.
There's water in every level.
There's water in us.
Period.
There's
water
in us.
Okay. Verse 9. Then God said, "Let the waters beneath the sky flow together into one place, so dry ground may appear." And that is what happened. God called the dry ground land and the waters seas. And God saw that it was good. Then God said, "Let the land sprout with vegetation."
Indeed. Yes.
Every sort of seed-bearing plant and trees that grow seed-bearing fruit. These seeds will then produce the kinds of plants and trees from which they came. And that is what happened. I want to pause and say how intricate God is.
Very much.
Like,
so.
he's smart. Like, he thinking through. He like, okay, I can't just create something and not give it the ability to create more. Just like, be honest, y'all. Would you even like be meticulous like that when you're creating? Imagine you creating a world, a universe.
Yeah.
Would you even think that way through? You just be like, oh, a tree.
You know, it's kind of funny you say that because I was playing Minecraft and I was actually making a house, but I was turning it into a tree house. So like at first I was just gonna do it, cut a hole in the middle and then make a tree just sprouting up. But then I was like, wait, what if I added branches to the bottom to make it look like it's growing inside the house? And yeah.
What was the purpose?
I don't know.
Okay. Okay. The land, verse 12. The land produced vegetation, all sorts of seed-bearing plants and trees with seed-bearing fruit. Their seeds produced plants and trees of the same kind, and God saw that it was good. And evening passed and morning came, marking the third day. So he did a lot on the third day. Okay, he was juiced up. Okay. He created what he create? He created the land, the dry land.
He created what he create?
He created the dry land, the seas. He also created plants and trees, but also he set up a system where the seeds will then produce more of the plants of which they came from. Verse 14. Then God said, "Let lights appear in the sky to separate the day from the night. Let them be signs to mark the seasons, days, and years. Let these lights in the sky shine down on the earth." And that is what happened. So God was just like, okay, I feel like he always had the future in mind when he did this. Because like he already separated the light from darkness. And he said, okay, this will be day, this will be night. But then he was like, okay, they need something extra to mark when it's day and night. Because like
sometimes, you know, sometimes the energy be a little low.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like the brain don't be kicking sometimes, you know?
Very much so.
So, you know, and not only that, but like he like, okay, so I need these lights to also give them hints about what type of season it is, what year it is. So he is establishing time.
Some people might think that when he says that, he's talking about like stars and the constellations.
No,
he's not.
So actually in verse 16, after that, it said God made two great lights.
Yes.
The larger one to govern the day and the smaller one to govern the night. So we all know that the moon is actually smaller than the sun.
Very much.
The sun tells us that it's morning and the moon tells us that it's night. I think I've seen like a silhouette of the moon once when it was daytime, but
I've seen it too. Like sometimes it'll be daytime,
Yeah.
sun shining, and if you like you look like kind of the opposite direction of the sun, there's the moon,
Right.
and there's the silhouette of the moon, because the moon it's still there.
Yeah.
It's just
that
it's
gets
just
into the whole
yeah.
physics and astronomy.
Yeah.
You can do that in your own time because baby,
Yeah. Listen, it's
I
interesting.
can't even count.
And I can't even read, man.
So
don't get it twisted. I can read. I just don't read well. So yeah.
you was really
Yeah,
butthurt about that
yeah.
comment that you made about yourself.
Yeah.
You made that comment about yourself, baby. Why is you attacking them?
The viewers are like, what?
I didn't even say that. I don't know you.
What are you talking about?
And then it says he also made the stars.
There we go.
Boom. God set these lights in the sky to light the earth, to govern the day and night, and to separate the light from the darkness. And God saw that it was good. So actually, I think that verses 14 through 18 actually goes with what he did on the first day, which is separate the light and the darkness. I think he's just giving further explanation of how he did that. So like in verses 3 through 5, he's just telling you, okay, I separated the light from the dark and I named it day and night. And then when you get to 14 through 18, he's just like giving you explanation of like that process. And evening passed and morning came, marking the fourth day. So clearly on the second day, he's like, okay, he's basically each day God is doing a little bit more, which actually I think everybody should take an approach. Like everybody, when they start working on something, on a project or whatever their goal is, they always think that, oh my God, it needs to be complete within this time frame, or it needs to be complete like instantly like that. But even God takes time to really intricately make sure that everything is good.
True. And not only that, he uses his time very well.
Right.
Very well.
Like he takes time to plan, and then he completes those plans just by saying words. I mean, I wish we had that ability.
Yeah.
But just like the planning of it all, he's just making and he adds on to stuff. Like he didn't just say like, okay, I separated light and darkness, named it day and night, and that portion of my creation is done. Yeah. No, he in the fourth day, he made it even more intricate. Okay, these lights are going to appear when it's night. These lights are going to appear when it's day. And this season's going to be going to appear here. This season's going to appear there.
It's like a toddler when he's like talking to his parents about I don't know,
their imagination world,
or like they're playing with their toys,
right?
And they're telling the story of what's happening,
right? And then we get to verse 20. Then God said, "Let the waters swarm with fish and other life. Let the skies be filled with birds of every kind." So God created great sea creatures and every living thing that scurries and swarms in the water, and every sort of bird, each producing offspring of the same kind. And God saw that it was good. Then God blessed them, saying, "Be fruitful and multiply. Let the fish fill the seas, and let the birds multiply on the earth." And evening passed, and morning came, marking the fifth day. So on the fifth day, we get the fishies and the birds.
We also get the questionable fish.
Right, we get those things. We who knows what God created? We still don't know.
Yeah, because we only know 5%
of the creatures in the ocean.
Oh my God, there's so much more to explore.
Like,
on this earth, man.
I'm scared to see what he created.
Imagine like you're on a boat. It's like pitch black outside, but you can still see because of the moon. And like, I don't know, you just see like the biggest silhouette in the water, bro. It's not a whale. It's not a whale. Like it's not a whale. It's not a great squid. It's just some big.
What is that?
Yeah. Like just imagine you see that, bro. And you just like in that moment I'll be like, okay, why?
Right.
Like
what? Why did we need this? What is his purpose?
Like I need his purpose. Must
Again,
be great.
I want to point out verse 22 that God blessed them by allowing them to also
produce
offspring so that they never deplete.
Yeah, it's a definite. It's a great blessing.
Yeah.
Have the ability to make
To multiply.
Yeah, to multiply. Like I love multiplication, bro. Like that's my favorite subject in math, bro.
Okay.
This truly is a blessing to just have that ability. We'll get to why it's
right.
different.
It's different.
It was supposed to be a full blessing.
It's supposed to be a blessing.
Yeah.
It was God's intention.
Yeah.
To be a blessing.
It came with a full great package, but that
You know?
package had to be limited because of events that happened in chapter 3.
Period. Verse 24. Then God said, "Let the earth produce every sort of animal, each producing offspring of the same kind, livestock, small animals that scurry along the ground, and wild animals." I want to break this down because God, this verse was intended for you to just basically differentiate the different types of animals. So when he means livestock, that's just like your horses, your goats, your cows, you know. Small animals that scurry along the ground, that's like your insects, like your spiders, your rats, they scurry along the ground. And then wild animals, that's the big kahunas. That's the that's the lions, that's the gazelles, that's the zebras.
The elephants too, they are wild animals.
Wild animals like that. And that is what happened. God made all sorts of wild animals, livestock, and small animals, each able to produce offspring of the same kind.
The monkey.
Oh, okay. And God saw that it was good. It was good.
Very good. It was very good.
Then we get to I actually like these last couple verses that we're about to get to. We get to verse 26. Then God said, "Let us make human beings in our image to be like us. They will reign over the fish in the sea, the birds in the sky, the livestock, all the wild animals on the earth, and the small animals that scurry along the ground." So God created human beings in his own image. In the image of God, he created them. Male and female, he created them. Now, I want to pause here because it's a question that I want to ask you. Like, when you read that, what is your understanding of like God created you in his image?
Every time we read that part, it's like it reminds me of what we talked about with him saying to be like us.
Yeah, like that
Like
one.
that.
Yeah. So the verse was, then God said, "Let us make human beings in our image to be like us."
Yeah.
So the us
Yeah.
in this situation, that's also a debate.
Yeah.
We got another debate.
Yeah. See, yeah.
So some people are saying that he is referring to the beings of his court. And by the beings of his court, I mean the sons. In the Old Testament, they're referred to as the sons of man. And then in the New Testament, they're referred to as angels. And so many people out there believe that he is talking about, okay, so he's saying like, let us make human beings in our image. So he's saying like us as in him and the angels. But nowhere in the Bible does it indicate that we were made in the image of angels.
Indeed.
Actually,
angels are like,
yeah.
If we really like touch into like what angels truly like look like, if we like go through the Bible and just take out snippets where they talk about
the image of like what an angel looks like,
they look nothing like us.
Right. Nothing.
They look horrifying.
Actually, I encourage everybody to go read the book of Isaiah if you have the time. Like, try to find it online. But in the book of Isaiah, he actually details how angels look, and he says they have 6 wings, 3 pairs of wings. So that's 6 wings. Yes, 2 covering their feet, 2 covering their eyes, and 2 to fly with. So I can't fly.
And I don't have wings covering.
I wish I did. Drink Red Bull. That's why when I did my research further into it, so this is God hinting towards the Holy Trinity. And for those of you who don't know what the Holy Trinity is, it's the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit.
Yes.
And all of these things, they are not separate things. They are in one, which is God, but they are all, the Son is Jesus. The Holy Spirit, of course, is the Holy Spirit. And then there's the Father, which is God. But these are not separate things. These are all one thing.
Yes, all those people that we just named are God.
Are God. Right. The Holy Spirit is God. Jesus is God in flesh. And then God is God.
God.
So yeah, so he's basically saying let us
Yes,
create
them
in our image.
Yeah.
But our image, like I feel like I need to really explain this because image of God is not like, oh, so God must look like a human being. No, that's not what he's saying. The image of God, he is basically saying that we reflect, humanity expresses God image in relationship. Like in a human community, in a marriage, we are set apart from all the other animals that he created.
Yeah.
Because we have aspects of God that allows us to have reasoning, moral judgment, creativity in all forms of art. Like we can do more than what the other animals that he created can do. And the reason why he gave us those extra characteristics is because he wants us to rule and govern the earth. And that is a reflection of our relationship with him. He rules and governs our lives as we rule and govern the lives of things on earth. God appointed us in this verse when he made us and he created us in his image. He appointed us as representatives of him on earth. So like, if you think about it, we're like, God is like the ultimate king. But then even the king, if he has such a large area to rule, he has to appoint certain people in certain areas to keep order. Because he can't be, God can be in all places all the time, but a human can't. So that's what human kings do. God can be everywhere, but he has allowed, that's the beauty of God, because he has allowed us to have that amount of authority, even though he doesn't need us to do that at all.
He really doesn't. Like God, man, he's such a merciful. Is that a good word?
Yeah, that's yeah.
He's a merciful God.
Right. He wants you to be included into his plans. Like he doesn't need us at all, y'all. Like for real.
If he wanted, he could smite us all
right now.
Boom,
like big, like.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, like big time, like
just instant too. It wouldn't like you'll be chilling. Instant strike.
Right, like, but he loves us so much. Think about it. That makes sense because he created us. Like, the things you create, you love.
And oh yeah, truly.
Yeah, especially the things you took time to create.
Oh yeah, I love all my art pieces. Bro.
Right.
I like every time I draw something, I love it, regardless of how bad it looks.
Right.
And yes, I know you may see some crumbled up pieces of paper of art, but hey, I didn't finish that.
Exactly. So, you didn't take the time to finish and really plan out and make sure it is good. Exactly. But God did. And so why would he not want to include us into his plans? And then verse 28, then God blessed them and said, be fruitful and multiply, fill the earth and govern it, reign over the fish in the sea, the birds in the sky, and all the animals that scurry along the ground. Then God said, look, I have given you every seed-bearing plant throughout the earth and all the fruit trees for your food. And I have given every green plant as food for all the wild animals, the birds in the sky and the small animals that scurry along the ground, everything that has life. And that is what happened. Then God looked over all he had made, and he saw it was very good. And evening passed and morning came, marking the sixth day. So there's a lot that happened here. Like, not only has God made humanity the authority over everything he has created. So God is basically giving us, that's big trust.
Yeah.
That's big responsibility, but it's big trust. But he's just not saying like, okay, now go govern it. But he also said, look, I have provided you with all the food you need. I have provided the animals with all the food they need.
Yeah.
All I need you to do is fill the earth and multiply, create, use the earth's resources for your benefit, create stuff from the earth that you govern for your benefit and the earth's benefit. And so when I read this, I instantly thought like, dang, like being green is actually biblical. Caring about recycling and global warming and all that stuff, like that's just not like some man-made concept. That's actually like God honestly, told us to do that from the beginning.
It's kind of funny because I've always kind of like I care about those things, but
right.
I'm not really in a place to do anything about it except for recycling. I can always recycle,
right?
But
it's the simple things like God basically is. If you think about it, like imagine you give one of your best art pieces
Yeah.
to someone and you tell them, hey, I need you to take care of it. Make sure that it lasts for a long time. Make sure that it stays in the condition that I'm giving it to you in.
Yeah.
Like, just, I want you to put yourself in that moment, like the
Okay,
amount
it's
of
like-
trust that you would have to even tell somebody to do that. This is your greatest art piece.
Oh yeah.
You took how many years to create it? You planned this out from one stroke to the next. Like, you were very intricate with detail with this piece, and you're handing it off to somebody else to take care of it. And then imagine that dude, like, it come back to you and it's ripped in half.
My father, I have to sin.
Oh my goodness.
Because his life is not staying.
Another thing is, in verse 31, he said this time it was very good.
Yeah, very good.
There's a distinction, because at first he was just saying, oh, it's good. It's good.
really good.
It's really good. Okay. He did this for males and females. Like, there's no hierarchy. All human beings has this blessing that God gave them.
Indeed.
Okay. So yeah, that is basically the end of Genesis chapter 1. As you can see, each line, each verse has a more deep rooted meaning behind it. So that is a tip for you guys when you're reading the Bible. Don't just read it like word line from line. Really try to understand, like, ask yourself each line, what is God trying to tell me in this verse? What does this reveal about him? What does this reveal about me? You know, and really understand, like, the context. Try to put yourself in that moment. Try to put yourself. It's very hard, because, like, I can't imagine being God, like, just having that wealth of knowledge. But imagine God's feelings in that moment. Like that one verse when he was just like, oh, this is the fact that God, he took a step back at the end of Genesis 1. He took a step back and he was looking at everything. He was like, oh, this very good. I did this.
Yeah,
this right here.
Yeah,
This right here. Mm-hmm.
Well, every time I finish like a really good art piece, I have like a feeling of, like, I don't know. It's like, you know how people be like, oh, I got butterflies in my stomach.
Right.
Well, take that and turn the butterflies on fire. That's how it feels.
Look, I feel that way just cleaning. Like when I clean a room that's like that was like really dirty, I kind of take a step back and I'm like, dang, I did that. Look how white that countertop is.
The stove looking
mighty clean. Like I did that. Like, and that's just how I imagine God felt when he completed his work of creating the earth.
Probably even greater.
Yeah, it's probably even. That's what I'm saying. I can't even imagine.
Yeah, it's like
I can't imagine
crazy.
that amount of emotion and amount of feeling. So yeah, we are only on the 6th day. You're probably like, where's the 7th? That is in chapter 2, and we will get into that in the next episode of Bible Conversations. Okay. If you like this and you want more Bible study, more deep dives, please leave a like and a comment. Let us know if you have more insight into Genesis chapter 1. What are your theories about? Yeah, what are your theories about, Moses being the author of Genesis? What are your thoughts about, when God said, let us make human beings and let us create them in our image? Like, what is your theory? Or do you just agree with what we said? Yeah. And I encourage you guys to go read chapter 1 of Genesis, and please come back as we do a deep dive of chapter 2.
Yes, indeed.
Any final words?
Harambe was never killed. The Illuminati hide it all. Do not join. I don't know.
Let God do his part.
Ah, dang it. I should have said that. Let God do his part. Let God do his part.
Let God do his part.
Yes.
All right, y'all. Peace.
Typical.